Now, I just wanted to say a couple of interesting and neat things happened regarding my mom. You know, last year my hammock broke, and that's where I go sit under my tree in my garden is where I pray. And I asked the Lord to give me a hammock because I couldn't afford one. They were all so expensive. The Passover stuff came in. I wanted to have a hammock up by Passover, and lo and behold, the grocery store of all places got 2 hammocks, and they were on the Passover aisle. So I immediately bought one of them. It was kind of neat because this year when I went back on the Passover aisle, they just set it up, and I went there one day and they had an extra large print Bible, a King James version, and it was a really nice kind of faux leather with a cross on top of it. And I thought, well, you know, should I get it? Because I mean, it was really cheap, and I've never seen one that price, so I was so happy. And I thought, well, I probably shouldn't get it, you know. And before I finish telling you the story about the Bible, I have to tell you that last year when my mom was bedridden and she was on the main floor of the house and I was the sole caretaker for her, when she was in the hospital actually, I had gone to get her one of those at the craft store. It was an adult coloring book where she could sit there and color these you know, beautiful pictures. The book was called Jesus Calling, and it had all these scriptures and pictures of doves and foxes and things we've had in our yard. And I bought her that coloring book and a big huge set of all different colored markers. So unfortunately, Mom's hands weren't working very well after she came back from the hospital, and I was really sad that she didn't color in it. So I was looking for it this past week and located it on the desk, and so just day before yesterday I went back to the grocery store to see, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go down the Passover aisle and see if that Bible's still there. I had been out in my car crying before going into the store because I just was feeling so devastated about just missing my mom and having to leave my house. The idea of that is just traumatizing. I mean, imagine losing everything, not just your mom, but your home, everything that's a memory with her. And, you know, I'm a very humble person. I'm not materialistic at all. And I just want to be able to live where I'm living and not have my whole life torn apart. So I go into the Passover aisle, and I was like, oh yeah, I remembered about the Bible. So I thought I'd go see if they still had, they only had 2 of them. And so I went down the aisle, clear down to the end, and turned the corner. And there, out of place, sitting in front of that Bible, after I had just been crying in my car, and might I say that there were 2 young men standing next to my car. They suddenly were standing there and they were talking, and when I finally stopped crying and got out of my car, they just started chatting with me. And I thought that was really unusual because that never happens to me. But anyway, when I went into the store and I got on the Passover aisle, and I was just getting ready to say that right in front of the Bible was the exact coloring book I had given my mom, Jesus Calling, with the dove on the front cover. And I couldn't believe that, because I was debating to myself, should I spend the money on that or not? It would really help me to see without having to put on reading glasses. And it was just like somehow my mom's spirit was communicating, or the Lord was communicating that my mom would want me to have the Bible. So then I look and I didn't see these coloring books here before. That wasn't in front of the Bible at all. So I was mystified, and I pulled back the other Bible, and behind it were 2 coloring books of the same one, Jesus Calling. So that you had these two King James Bibles wedged between the exact coloring book that I had given my mom as a gift, and with the dove on the front cover. That's a dove calling out right now. So I just wanted to show you the coloring book that I gave her, and just I thought that was miraculous, because I bought the coloring book at a craft store. I didn't buy it, like I think it was at Michael's where I got it. I didn't get it at the grocery store, and they never have stuff like that in the grocery store, so it was just very neat that it was on the Passover aisle. And it's one more thing that it just felt like my mom was in heaven praying for me, and that the Lord was sending me some sort of sign that she's okay, she's with me, don't cry. Look, I bought the Bible at the grocery store, which is right here. And this is the same coloring book that was in front of it and behind it when I came back to contemplate buying it. This was the coloring book that I got from my mom when she was bedridden, so that she could color, and I got her these markers. And she never felt like coloring, unfortunately, so, but I still had it in the sack. It was very special. But when I went back to the grocery store, there was this very book, one in front of it and some behind the two large print King James Version Bibles that I wanted to get. And I couldn't believe I'd never seen this coloring book before. It was just exactly like this one that I got from my mom. And here is, if I get my arm out of the way, here's the Bible that I got that's large print. It's really nice. So it's a King James. But it was one of those things that I had just been crying in the car before going into the store, because I had somebody be mean to me at lunch. The waitress was really kind of rude to me, and so I was crying. It was missing Mom, and then I thought I'd go get a couple of items at the grocery store, and then I thought, I saw this on they brought in the Passover items, and so that's what, was on the aisle. And the other day I had seen this, and there were none of these coloring books, the exact one. There was not even a coloring book near these. There were only two of these giant print King James Bibles. So it was just one of those things. It was like it was from my mom. This coloring book says in it, "You need not fear the future, for I am already there." It was just like my mom, when I was crying, and I don't know, just God does these things. I am far more real than the world you can see, hear, and touch. So all of these things were just so amazing, because I went back to possibly get that large print Bible, and it was just wedged like the Bible was like the middle of a sandwich cookie with the coloring books on both sides. And it was just one of those beautiful things. It was kind of like my mom saying, yeah, go ahead and buy the Bible. It was really neat. I just wanted to share that. Now there was another really amazing thing, and this is the way God works, and I know that some people won't believe this, but it's the truth of what happened. And my mom went through this really hard time in her life, and where I was working at the time, they had this really big teddy bear, and I just thought, I'm gonna get her that teddy bear. If she's crying in the night, instead of hugging her pillow, she could just put her arms around this teddy bear. So anyway, she was kind of humorous, and she did this really cute thing where she put this little wool sweater on the bear and put a scarf like a flying ace on the bear, and I put this little pin on the bear's scarf and everything. Well, the bear had been up It was actually in another room, you know, on a little bed with some little stuffed animals, but it had been moved onto her bed, and I thought, I'm just going to take that down to my room, and whenever I think of her, I'm going to hug the bear. I'm going to pray. I have a picture of her right there in the bear's lap, and I'm going to pray for her, and I'm going to tell the Lord that every time I hug this bear, the hug is for my mom, and that I'm thinking of her and love her. Well, this is so strange, you know, because of all of the chaos that went on with pressuring me to move it, get out right away last spring before I got deathly ill. I was walking through the room, and all this stuff was piled up from long ago. You know, things were papers and things like that. So I'm walking by, going on the way to my room, and something fell out from these papers. And I go to pick it up, and it's this little box that pops open, and it had these little arched handles on it. And it had a string with a little card on it, and on the box, it was a Valentine from my mom, and it was a pop-up box, and it had a teddy bear on it, and hearts. And I go to read the card, and it says, "Precious Kimberly, I love you very much. Love, Mom." And I just was like, what are the odds of that? So I'm hugging this bear, telling the Lord that every time I hug it, I'm thinking of her, and that I want her to have a hug in heaven. And I run across this card, and I just think the Lord does just sweet, precious things like that, you know, to just kind of let you know that you're still loved by your mom in heaven. And it was just one more special thing that happened. Here's the big teddy bear that I gave my mom, and she put this little scarf on it. And this is the little Valentine I found. It's a little pop-up box. And I accidentally ripped the tag and the handle off, which upset me, but this was the little message. It says, "To precious Kimberly, I love you very much, Mom." And I found that right after telling the Lord that every time I hugged my mom's bear that I had given her, that it was a hug for her in heaven. How special and beautiful of the Lord to do this. And I just happened to have this card fall out of a place in the other room. I think this was dated 2010 when she gave that to me. So it was really neat to find that and have this little sweetheart. And then this is the picture that I keep with me and Mom, the one that I have on my GoFundMe page. And I have the prayer shawls wrapped around her picture, kind of around the bear's shoulders and then around her picture. So she's always in my prayers. But God loves us. And soon we'll be together, I pray. And then along those lines, they have this commercial where they show a mother polar bear nuzzling its baby. And I was so touched when I saw it, I started crying. I said, that mother polar bear's you, Mom, and the little baby one is me, and you're nuzzling me, and I love you back, and all of this stuff. So the thing that was really strange was that there was this old Bible that I put in my car, and unbeknownst to me, she had cut out little pictures, and she had them with a paper clipped together, and they were just like a little square of, you know, and you could flip through it, everything. I'm flipping through that, and it shows like autumn leaves are on one, and, you know, maybe a little deer or something, and mountain scenes with snow. And all of a sudden, there was this beautiful little picture of a mother polar bear, and the baby was nuzzling the mother. So not only did you have the big teddy bear I was hugging, but this polar bear was like it was reciprocated with the baby polar bear. It's like the Lord heard that, and my mom already had a picture of that. Here's the little paper clipped little thing of pictures here. Now let me show you where I found this bear. Here's the sweet picture of the mother polar bear and the baby polar bear that I just happened to find at random, that my mom had saved and cut out. It was exactly like that TV commercial with the mother polar bear and the baby when they were nuzzling. Isn't this special? It was just like the Lord answered that when I said that out loud, that that's you, Mom, and that's me snuggling up to you and you to me. How precious is this? The doves left footprints in the snow, just like what I showed in my book. It's so cute. Looks like chicken footprints, but it's the doves.